DJ Chang back again for another online video DJ lesson. So today we're going to talk about records. So records is how DJing started, right? You had a DJ who was in a club and they would play two records on two different turntables and mix them together and seemingly create this continuous stream of music that never stops so people can continue dancing without hearing a song end, for example, right? So that's kind of the history in a nutshell of how DJing first evolved, and it started on printed media like records, and then it moved into digital formats like CDs, and now it's played digitally on like MP3 file on like say a little flash drive or a computer. But this is where it all began. So we're going to go over a little bit of history about records just to kind of understand how they work. So the basic principle and idea of how music can come out of this piece of plastic is that there's little grooves that are printed all around the record. And as you drop a record needle on top of that record and you spin it, the vibrations generated from the needle on top of this surface creates the music. So if you take that little needle and you amplify that signal and you put it through speakers, you can hear the music at full volume. It's pretty crazy. It's completely physical. If I were to take a needle and spin this over it and put my ear real close to it, you can actually hear the whole song there. It's really quiet. So once you put it through speakers, it amplifies it, makes it loud so everyone can enjoy it. Okay, so does anyone know who invented this technology? I'll give you a hint. It was created in 1877, about 150 years ago, is when music was first ever recorded, and it was done so on records. Okay, another hint, it was invented by a super famous inventor. Okay, a lot of people guess Alexander Graham Bell, right? He did the telephone. It was very similar, had to do with sound, but it wasn't him. Anybody else have any guesses? All right, this inventor also invented the light bulb. Pretty big inventor. All right, it's Thomas Edison. So Thomas Edison was the first person to ever record sound, and he did it by speaking into a cone that funneled the sound to a small little point. So he would be speaking into a cone to send the sound into a small little point, and at the end of the point there was this little hammer that as he spoke into it, it vibrated the hammer, and the hammer carved in a little impression of the sound waves into I think it was a piece of wax or a piece of aluminum foil in order to kind of record that music. And so that was the first time sound was ever recorded. And you take that invention and you fast forward it a few years into like the 20s and the 30s and probably the 19-teens as well. That was the first time music was ever really recorded. Before then, the only way you can enjoy music was you had to hear it live. So you had to have a bunch of people come over, bring their instruments or orchestra, and perform it live for you, right? As you can imagine, not a lot of people have access to that kind of thing, right? Or those friends. So yeah, music was something that wasn't ever enjoyed live before. That was only enjoyed live. It wasn't something that, we today take for granted. We hear music on our phones. We hear music in our cars. You hear it when you're shopping at the grocery store, right? So music is everywhere. And it's because we figured out how to record it and then distribute it to people. So that around the 1950s is when music kind of blew up. It was printed on these records and it was distributed everywhere so people can have it themselves and play it whenever they wanted to hear it. So that's a brief little history about music and records. Now let's zoom in on the record a little bit. Do you see that there are different sections? Let me see if I can get it. There we go. Do you see there's different sections in the song? So there's like this light stripe here, and then you've got a dark stripe here. You've got another light stripe here and a dark stripe here. That's the physical way that the music is printed on here, and you can see the different fluctuations in the song based on how it's printed. So the light sections, like this part, is where the music is loud, and the darker sections here is when the music is soft. So as the needle moves from the outside and it works its way in, it will be loud here, and then here's a little break, and then loud here and a little break, and loud here to the end of the song. So that is how visually you can see how this song works. And those dark stripes are called the breakdowns. And the breakdowns are when the song gets quiet and it changes a little bit. And it's like when the drums usually drop out, right? So DJs often have to mix tracks together, so when those breakdowns come around, if they don't want to lose the beat and they don't want to lose their dance floor, they'll take another record and mix the beat of the new record on top of that breakdown, or to create a consistent flow of beats and danceable music. So yeah, that's kind of my little summary off of how records work. And yeah, I'm going to have another lesson that goes into how they play and the different speeds at which they spin, so tune in for that. So this is DJ B Chang on behalf of Active Learning and Dance Music Initiative, signing off.